Yo, 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 and welcome back to Creeps and Crimes
Podcast.
I'm Taylor.
And I'm Morgan. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
I always fucking forget.
It's hard for us on this end because we have to cognitively be aware what episode number this is the entire time, or else you will get St. Patty's Day on not St. Patty's Day week. Period. That is it.
I mean, we're so delusional with time. Like, we have no time.
No, and it's not even like no concept of time. It's that time flies so fucking fast.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I don't know if it's fun. I think it's just when you get old. Like, when I was little, it was like a day was like the longest period of time. I mean, when my mom be like, in a week, a fucking week.
And the colors were so bright.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that? It was like a freaking retro vibrant filter on
life.
It
It was like we were just like tripping.
And now we're like gray, like...
That's
so fucked up.
The fact that I'm so fucking aware of what the weather is really tells me how old I am.
Yeah.
When I was little, not a care in the world.
Weather girl Tay.
Now I'm fucking a meteorologist.
Yeah.
You know, I tried to convince Logan a few weeks ago that I should go back to school to be a meteorologist.
And he
said, you know what? If Creeps and Crimes doesn't work out and you still want to be on TV, you can do that.
There you go. Backup plan. Meanwhile, they're going to be like, okay, you have to read this prompt very fast. And you're going to be like, is there any double takes? And they're going to be like, no.
No, it's
and you're
live.
Gonna be like, okay, so the tornado.
In Arkansas, sorry, Marley. I'll be like, fuck, damn, no, sorry. Oh God.
Shit. No, you would do great.
If I ended up, guys, just so we know, if my plan B goes into effect ever, not only will I blame all of you for the rest of my life, I will become Ginger Z, the Good Morning America meteorologist.
There you go.
But I don't want to live in New York.
I
don't want to live in
big city living.
And you have to be there
the big
5 in the
apple.
fucking morning.
Well,
I mean, I could probably do that.
Yeah.
But the thought of like going to bed early, because I'm on a roll.
Of going to bed early?
Of going to bed late.
Oh, see, I have this issue, and I was telling you the other day, I can't stop sleeping. Like, I don't know if it's just the season, but it really has been like for a good couple months now.
I'll say a few couple years.
But no,
okay, yeah,
but like a good couple.
You got on
probably
a good
the last 5 months.
Yeah, you got on a good roll from like,
I don't know when it started. It's been around for a while, but I still will have really good weeks, and then there's other weeks where I just can't do it. I have fallen asleep with my iPad, with my laptop on my lap, open, hands on the keyboard. I'll fall asleep like mid doing something.
We also have been like burning it from both ends.
I know.
In that time frame. So like it's
but
completely
like you
natural.
have the drive to like stay awake. Like,
bitch,
you know,
I don't wake up till 9.
But you're like, I gotta get this shit done. I'll stay awake. Me, I'm like, I gotta get this shit
I've never been
out like a fucking light.
You're a napper though. I'm not.
I love a good nap.
I never was.
But
like,
I
my
feel
parents
like shit when I nap.
couldn't get me down for a nap when I was a baby. Like, it was World War III.
Oh, I was nap queen. I used to literally sneak into my aunt's classroom. I went to a private Christian school, P through 1. Preschool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my aunt taught kindergarten. She was actually my teacher. It's just really fucked up, actually. I don't think that should have been allowed. Either way, I used to sneak into her classroom to take naps behind her desk while she taught class.
I mean, on par.
Aunt Jackie, if you're listening to this, thank you.
Aunt Jackie, you're a real one for that one.
Real one.
I remember in preschool when it would be like nap time and shit, I would be miserable. But
fuck this time.
I would be so fucking pissed.
I'm ready to play.
But I liked laying down on the nap pads. You know what I'm talking about? They were like blue on one side, green on the other, and you all had you had your name. Okay, my preschool teacher, her name was Miss Jenny. And I'm like friends with her on Facebook. Like, she's so cool. I think she used to party with my parents.
Oh, that's
like, they were tight, you know? So they would be like, hey, Taylor's not going to nap. So she would always play music during nap time. Norah Jones. For the rest of my life, for the rest of the time, ever since, I mean, I would sit there and listen to the music with her. She want to go talk with her fucking friends.
Right.
You know, that's what you do during nap time. But I would be like, can I just sit here and listen to the CD over and over and over again? And I would listen to Norah Jones, Come Away With Me, and Don't Know Why. over and over again. I still sing those songs whenever I need to fall asleep. I'll sing them in my head and I'll try to fall asleep.
That's cute.
Yeah, to this day. Miss Jenny, you're a real one.
Whenever I'm trying to fall asleep, I'm like, go to sleep, bitch. You can do this.
Go to fucking sleep.
Actually, I do that meditation that goes from the top of your head, like down to your toes, where you like start focusing on breaths, like all the way down. By the time I get to my knees, I'm fucking out.
I wish I could do that. Whenever I can't sleep, I'm like in a panic attack.
You know how when you get frustrated?
Oh my God.
When you can't sleep.
That's me every time I can't sleep.
Yeah, that's.
You know what I do at that point in time? I go in, I just dump a bottle of Benadryl into my hand. However many comes out is how many is going in my mouth. Yeah. So if I wake up the next morning, good luck.
Yeah, well, knowing me, I can't take more than 2. So
dude, this is so funny. So, okay, St. Patty's Day recap. It's been a minute. We died.
No, we died.
No, when I say we died, dead. Funerals were had.
So drunk.
Not okay. Like
so many drinks.
Sloppy.
Drinking
gross.
Whiskey sours.
I didn't even.
We don't do that.
No. All night whiskey sours. I, for the first time in my entire life, didn't put on spandex because I had on like a golfing tight dress, like a little green dress. You know what I'm talking about, guys? Because you could see every single line. But I'm not one that can ever go commando. Like that gives me at a different level of anxiety. So I had to wear, you know, one of the Victoria's Secret seamless thongs. I don't know what I was thinking doing that on St. Patty's Day for the first time ever in my entire life, because many people did see my whole ass.
Yeah.
On that stage.
Well, everyone saw me too, except for it was the top of my ass because my pants were like size like 14 or something. I don't know. No. I don't know what they were. Like a triple XL.
It was
and we bought them because there was only one pair left and they were on sale for $15.
And they were the perfect green.
And I was like, yeah, they'll fit.
What? And no, we were like, we'll sew it together.
Yeah. We have a literal sewing kit.
We bought those literally 6 hours before we went out.
And I had to tie my pants up with a shoestring.
Yeah. But it was fine because it was fucking frigid.
Yeah, so I was able to keep my jacket on.
Yeah, you kept the jacket on the whole time.
Yeah, I don't think I ever took it off.
You took it off one time, but it was only when we were sweaty because we danced too hard.
Oh, yeah. Guys, the way that when we dance at bars and clubs, we each are recording each other like a music video director. Like we are like, if I'm on stage, Taylor's on the ground like this.
Oh, yeah.
Like getting all the angles.
Hyping up each other.
If she's on stage, I'm going in, out, left, right.
Turn. Like, hit this part. Okay, do. We have the matching video edit.
Like, it's musically. Ridiculous. And everyone looks at us like,
oh, they roll their fucking eyes. We're having a great time. I don't care.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. If I'm going out, I'm shaking my ass on the stage and I'm hyping my bitches up while they do it too. And if you have an issue with that, then you're not a cool bitch.
Yeah. One thing we love to do is shake our fucking ass.
And if we see another group of girls up there shaking their ass,
we're hyping them up.
We're videoing them.
Yep.
You know how many
we're like, hey, drop the number. Airdrop.
Yep, boom. What's yours? What's the name of your iPhone? Airdrop straight to your phone. You're welcome. You're going to be embarrassed about that, but don't worry.
My iPhone 110.
Yeah. Something psycho. It's neither of ours are names. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what we're doing. So either way, long story short, we died on St. Patty's Day. We originally had these plans that were like Saturday, give or take, we might go on a bar crawl when we all woke up Saturday morning.
Do it.
Ill, not okay. So then we ended up going to like a restaurant bar hopping moment.
No, I don't know what we were doing this weekend. Jumping from restaurant to restaurant and like we were having full course meals. Like we were so hungover.
I'm not talking hours in between. I'm talking minutes.
Like we left one restaurant, walked to the one right next to it, sat down, got a drink. We were like, that looks really good. Ordered it. Like we were eating. So then we left that restaurant, called the boys, and they're like, well, let's go out here. And we're like, okay, fine. I sit down there. I order an entire pot roast dinner. An entire mashed potatoes, pot roast, whatever the vegetable.
Turnip.
The turnips? Maybe that's what made us sick.
No, really. I woke up Monday at 8:30 and I was like, oh my God, I'm sick. And my head was pounding. I was ill. And you guys know, me and Morgan for the last 5 months have been fighting off illness.
Like, we don't allow them to come.
No.
It's like knocking on our door and we like slam its face in the door.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how we do it. It's like mind over fucking matter, I guess. But we literally fist fight our illnesses away and like convince ourselves that we're fine. And then we're fucking fine.
And we're good. Like, we're like
it's
nope,
ridiculous.
We got to record.
But Taylor also, this is what Taylor does when she's sick. She's like, Wakes up. Oh, fuck, I'm sick. Immediately runs to the kitchen.
Yep.
Starts pouring handcrafted witch brews down her throat, eating seasonings, and looks up all these concoctions. And
I'm pounding like ghost peppers. Like
the craziest shit, guys. I wish you could see what she does when she's fucking sick.
It scares the fuck out of me.
And then I'm sick. She's like, you need to do this, and this. What do you want me to bring you?
I'm like, I'm bringing it over to your house.
I'm like, please leave me be.
You're like, do not bring me the fucking raw ginger juice.
Please
leave
don't. The turnips at your house.
Leave the turnips at home.
So she was down bad Monday. We were supposed to record Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we ended up just doing a What's New.
Because it had to go out Wednesday.
Yeah. And then Wednesday, you were feeling better.
I was on the up.
I woke up. Hit
Dead.
Me like a fucking brick. So bad. I woke up so sweaty and like clammy and greasy.
Achy.
And my whole body was aching. Headache. I was like, fuck me, dude. So then we moved our recording yesterday to today because there was not a shot I could
we knew
get
we had the
anything
same
done
thing.
Wednesday night.
Yeah, we knew we had the same thing, and I was like, "You'll be on the up starting tomorrow."
Yeah, and you're right.
Yeah,
you were right.
I mean, I feel like shit still a little bit. Like I don't feel 100%, but I'm mind over mattering it.
Yeah, I'm just like and that's also why I was sleeping so much this week too, because that's one thing my body does do.
Yeah,
forces me to sleep.
I mean, I
snapped down bad.
Yeah,
you were sleeping a lot too this week.
That's how you know I'm sick.
Yeah.
And my face.
Like, and the fact that she literally has been laying in an air mattress in the middle of her living room floor. If you're driving, throw that shit on cruise control.
If you got a glass, pour that shit up.
And let's get creepy.
Okay.
Taylor, what do you have for us today?
I'm first today. You'll figure out why later. But the case I have for you guys today, I had never heard of, like not once in my entire life. It blew me away. So this is one good thing that came out of me being sick. I watched
a lot of television.
A lot of cold case files.
There you go.
A ton. I'm talking everything. I never heard of it once in my life. It was from Cold Case Files on Netflix, and that is really my primary source in all of this because this case isn't one that you can find a bunch on.
I love that.
These cases are the best.
Are always the
best. Yeah, the best investigative work, which makes no sense because like investigators deserve that hype up, I guess is the best way to put it. Like when you are able to solve a case that is so complex, like these cases that always don't get a Wikipedia page.
Right.
And I'm not saying that Wikipedia is my only source. It's just that Wikipedia is a great place to start for foundation. I mean, I'm so sorry.
You know we're not allowed.
Please don't strike me down, God, aka all of our like hateful returning listeners. Don't strike me down for that. So this is the case of Ray R. or Joe Clark. The evening of Saturday, February 7th, 1981, Joe Clark and his wife, Patricia, or Pat, were watching a basketball game while enjoying their dinner together at their home in Marietta, Ohio. During a break, Joe went to the kitchen with his dinner plate. Seconds later, Pat hears a loud noise, and it was almost like an explosion. Glass shattering all over the ground. Naturally, she jumps up and rushes to the kitchen where she finds her husband Joe lying on the floor.
What?
He had been having these recent health issues, and because of that, she immediately thought that he had had a heart attack as a result of like maybe a light bulb blowing in the kitchen, and it just scared him so badly. The only blood that Patricia could see from her husband was this small pool coming from the back of his head, almost like he had hit his head when he fell.
Right, not a big gash.
Right, like it wasn't anything serious. And when I say like a small pool of blood, I mean like the size of my finger. Very, very tiny. So quickly, she grabs the phone and she calls for an ambulance. And then she calls her and Joe's children. Now, she has children of her own from a previous marriage, and I believe he did as well, but I know for sure that they had a child together, and his name was Tim. He was relatively young. I want to say like a teenager at the time. It's never explicitly stated how old he was, but there's a lot of references saying that he's very young at this point in time. And Joe is rushed to the hospital where doctors worked very hard to try and help him. Patricia and their children waited in the waiting room as doctors worked to try and revive him. With them were a slew of law enforcement officers because Joe was actually a lieutenant for the Washington County Sheriff's Department.
That's weird.
Washington County, right? Yeah. When I was like, I kept catching myself when I was writing Ohio, I'd be like Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, let me stop.
Washpa represent, baby.
Washpa. So along with his family, there were various officers waiting on him because they had heard the call come in from dispatch and rushed to the hospital. Literally half of them followed the ambulance from the Clark home. Now, Joe's son, Tim, wanted to see his father, even with doctors working on him. So he goes into the room, and about the same time that he walks in, doctors had exhausted all attempts to save his life, and Lieutenant Joe Clark was pronounced dead. Tim was then asked, because he was in the room and a family member, was then asked to identify his father. After this, the doctors walked Tim back to his family and his father's fellow officers to deliver the devastating news of their loss. But what they said shocked everyone to their core. Lieutenant Joe Clark did not die as a result of a heart attack. He was shot in the back of the head in his own home.
What?
Joe was murdered. This made no sense. Joe was extremely loved by his family, friends, and communities. He virtually had no enemies, leaving everyone with three main questions: why, how, and who?
And if you hear glass breaking, you usually can hear the gunshot.
Exactly. So let's start with the why. What motive would someone have to kill Lieutenant Joe Clark? Clearly, in his career as a law enforcement officer, there could be plenty of reasons as to why someone would want to target him. Maybe someone he had arrested had a personal vendetta against him. He could have been targeted just because he was a police officer. Or maybe because he was getting too close to the truth in a case that he was working. Now, this would make sense because Joe's primary passion and really his sole reason for joining the sheriff's office was to combat the drug use in Washington County. On Friday, February 6, 1981, the day before his death, Lieutenant Joe Clark had done an interview with the press about the heavy presence of narcotics in the area. And the main quote that was used by the newspapers when they ran the story was, quote, "Something big is about to go down. Next week, I will be naming those who are suspects in the investigation and making arrest." End quote. Now, this story was released on the morning of Saturday, February 7th, 1981, the day he was murdered. When looking at this at the start of the investigations, detectives basically had no doubt in their minds that this was their why. It was common sense. Joe's murder had to be drug related. He was getting too close to the truth. But how did they kill Joe when he was in his own home? I mean, we have Patricia as a witness.
Right.
There was no one else in the home.
Yeah.
Like, how did this happen? Immediately, crime scene investigators rushed to the Clark's home and blocked it off to investigate. Rookie detective from the Washington County Sheriff's Department, Jack Taylor, was assigned the case. He had worked under and became very close with Lieutenant Joe Clark. But this concerned many people because, number one, this was his first homicide case ever.
And you're going to put him on a lieutenant's case?
Right. A high-profile murder. Maybe because he was newer, he was a rookie, he wouldn't have the same amount of blurred vision about the connections he had with Lieutenant Clark because he respected Lieutenant Clark. Where everybody else had been working with him for a few years, they were close with him. You know, they were good friends.
Right.
So maybe that's why they did it. And this was an extremely sensitive and shocking homicide investigation for the entire law enforcement community in the entire area. They needed fresh eyes, fresh perspective. Detective Taylor had Pat Clark walk him through every single thing that happened that night just to be sure that his timeline was perfect. So Joe gets up. He goes to the kitchen. There's a loud sound with glass shattering. She rushes and she finds Joe on the ground of the kitchen and she calls for help. Detective Taylor then went to the crime scene. He was able to see the exact location that Joe fell to the ground because of that small blood stain that I mentioned earlier on the floor. Also on the floor and on a counter nearby, there was tons of shattered glass. The glass came from 2 locations. The overhead light above the island, and this is, remember, this is the 80s, so it's not like a chandelier or, you know, the lighting that's like up in the ceiling, like you can't see it. This is like one of those fluorescent LED long lights that goes above a kitchen counter in the 80s.
Yeah.
Right.
My house still has one.
Yep.
It's like literally the size of like a flat screen TV.
Exactly.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. And you know that it's in the 80s because it wasn't a plastic cover. It was a glass cover that was on that light. The second location was actually from the window above the kitchen sink. In the frame of this window, which was a plate glass window, there were very little pieces of glass left on the edges. So, you know, like if I were to punch this window, there would only be like a minor hole in the middle.
Right.
And still like shards of glass on the surrounding areas.
Yes.
Not completely blown out with very little glass still connected to the frame itself.
Right.
It was almost, if not completely, gone.
That's a blunt fucking force
right
there.
That is a large force covering a vast area.
Yeah.
As Detective Taylor is examining this light, because this is odd, he's able to spot something lodged into the ceiling surrounding that overhead light, and they were pellets from a shotgun. This discovery was essentially the final piece of the puzzle as to the second question. How? Someone had shot pellets through that window from outside the home and struck Lieutenant Clark in his kitchen, and it went into that glass.
Right.
On
everything
the
was
light.
ricocheting.
Exactly. Because, you know, pellets, when they come out of a shotgun shell, there's like multiple pellets with inside one. It depends on what size you use. We'll get back to that. Long story. I had to research it a lot to learn what it meant. But you know, there's many inside.
Right.
So for some of them were in the ceiling, the other were on the floor, and then at least one, struck Lieutenant Joe Clark. So the kitchen window over the sink was from the back of the home. They had to have done this clearly because of this window from outside of the home. As Detective Taylor, along with the other crime scene investigators, continued to search the home, teams of other officers were going door to door in the neighborhood, interviewing any and all potential witnesses. More than 10 people reported that they saw a blue Ford Pinto idling on the street during the time frame of Lieutenant Joe Clark's murder. Many of which also noted that the driver of this car would put their hand up to their face, like covering it, anytime someone would pass by. And at least one of the witnesses claimed that when they passed by the car, they also heard a shotgun blast. Now, this is very crucial because this means that the person that was in that Ford Pinto could not be the shooter. This was the getaway driver. So
Holy
now
we are
looking for 2 suspects in the murder of a lieutenant.
Holy shit.
Early the next morning, Detective Taylor returned to the crime scene at the Clark home and searched the entire yard because, again, this was the nighttime, so they couldn't really see anything. It had been snowing all night long, and it was dark.
That sucks.
Yeah, that shit sucks.
That shit sucks.
That shit sucks.
Because snow covers so much.
Exactly. But luckily for them, it had like turned from a heavy snow to like a sleet frozen situation.
Froze it all over.
So it froze it all over. So when Detective Taylor returns to the crime scene at the Clark home, he's looking through the yard and he finds 2 crucial pieces of evidence. Near a tree in the backyard that had a direct line of sight into the kitchen window that Joe was shot through, he discovered a military combat boot print in the frozen snow, as well as a number 4 buck shotgun shell. Clearly, this is only 2 pieces of physical evidence. So not a ton in a super high profile case.
But it proves somebody was outside in direct line.
It's something.
Yeah.
And this would be the 2 identifying pieces of evidence that would help them in the future narrow down their suspect pool. This was clearly a sniper style ambush, possibly drug related from everything we know. And it is an attack on a police officer. All investigators could think about was who would be next? Because you don't just kill a police officer.
Yeah. If you're going after someone, you're going after the whole team of whoever's working that case.
Exactly. At Joe's graveside funeral, which was attended by majority, if not literally every single officer from the area and surrounding areas, they had to have extreme security. I mean, if you want to perform another ambush, where are you going to target?
Right. A police funeral.
Where they're all at. So naturally, this is in the back of every single person's mind at Lieutenant Joe Clark's funeral. Now, Detective Taylor was actually a pallbearer for Lieutenant Clark as he was laid to rest with military honors, and he was surrounded by fellow officers with the black bands around their badges honoring their fallen brother. Just 3 days after the murder of Joe Clark, a call comes in to dispatch about a shooting in a local trailer park. Detective Taylor was the first responding officer on the scene. On the floor, when he opened up the door to this trailer, he could clearly see a large trail of blood that led all the way down the hallway. So as Detective Taylor follows this trail, he passes by large amounts of drugs. I'm talking cocaine, PCP, marijuana, etc. Clearly stating that this was the home of not just a drug user, but a Washington County drug trafficker or dealer. He then was able to discover the victim, who was lying on the floor. And just like Joe, this person had been shot in the back of the head. So now, within just a few days of Joe's murder, there was an obvious drug-related murder that could possibly be connected, further solidifying investigators' beliefs as to why a narcotics detective was targeted and getting them one step closer to answering the main question, the final question: who? After Lieutenant Clark's funeral, investigators sat down to compile all of the information and evidence that had been collected thus far. The why, drug-related; the how, sniper-style ambush from outside the home; who, 2 suspects. And what physical evidence did they have? Number 1, the military boot print. Number 2, 4-buck shotgun shell. Number 3, the shotgun pellets that were in the ceiling and throughout the home. And lastly, 10 plus witnesses reported seeing that blue Ford Pinto. All of this helped investigators to create a possible profile for their suspects, mainly the number 1 suspect who would have pulled the trigger. Possibly has military experience, has some involvement in the Washington County drug operations scheme going on, trafficking, dealing, using, whatever, was likely being investigated directly or indirectly by Lieutenant Clark, and owns or has direct access to a blue Ford Pinto. Based on the reports and the description of the Pinto given by witnesses, Detective Taylor was able to narrow down what year this specific model was made. He then contacted the DMV to request information about every 1974 blue Ford Pinto hatchback that had been registered in the area. And there were over 4,000.
Holy shit.
Essentially taking investigators back to square one, because this was 1981. So it wasn't like a computer system to sift through this. It was someone would have to manually sit there, go through every single one of these registrations and owners, and then determine different piles of has a criminal history, has relations with drugs, etc. And this would take months to do without any leads as to where to begin, which is where the investigators were at. So yes, this car would be an important factor in the conviction of a suspect. But at this time, at this point in the investigation, it would be a giant waste of time. So Detective Taylor and his team began compiling leads, both drug and non-drug related, while interviewing many individuals within the drug community. Through these interviews, Detective Taylor learned from an informant the identities of those responsible for the murder of the trafficker that was murdered 3 days after Joe Clark. 2 men, referred to as Washington and Jones, but these men were actually from a county over. Detective Taylor reached out to the county's sheriff's department and requested information and anything that they possibly knew about the men that they were referring to. Both men had recently been arrested and were currently in the county over's jail. So Taylor and his team immediately got in the car and drove to interview Washington and Jones about the shooting in that trailer park. Surprisingly, both of the men admitted to the shooting, but explained that it was only supposed to be a ripoff, and it was set up by a man named Bonner. Detective Taylor knew exactly who they were referring to: Matt Bonner. He was really well known by the Washington County Sheriff's Office because of his history of arrests. I'm talking petty theft, drugs, assault, etc. List goes on and on. In fact, Lieutenant Joe Clark had actually spoken to him on multiple occasions, as he was a prominent leader in but most of the drug trafficking in the area, but specifically on the north side of Washington County. And if that doesn't seem like enough motive to target Joe, I mean, there's a long history between the two. There was a personal level of motive, and it had very little to do with just drug operations. Matt Bonner had very publicly proclaimed his hatred of the deputies at the Washington County Sheriff's Department. Matt claimed that after being arrested by a Washington County officer, he was taken to the banks of the Ohio River and assaulted by that officer. Though this officer involved was not Lieutenant Joe Clark, it was a man that worked under Joe Clark. Investigators knew that not only would Matt Bonner have the balls to kill an officer, clearly, he was capable. He had the skills to do so in this case. Like he basically met a lot of the qualifications that would be needed to perform the sniper style ambush. Obviously, there was no way that Matt would be willing to give Detective Taylor anything at all, and he didn't. Even in an interview, he was like, "That's so crazy. No, I don't know anything."
Nope.
Washington
Not
and
me,
Jones,
wrong bitch.
Never heard of them. Matt was adamant that he knew nothing about Lieutenant Clark's murder or Washington or Jones. He knew fucking nothing. Detective Taylor had nothing to definitively connect him to the murder of Lieutenant Joe Clark. So there wasn't much that he could do. Not long after making rounds through the drug community, death threats started coming in, directed at 26-year-old Detective Taylor. It was so concerning that he actually moved his family away, like his wife and his children, to another county, and he actually slept in a jail cell every single night for months, protected by other officers.
That's scary.
Yeah. Every single drug-related lead was a dead end. And as time continued to fly by, Lieutenant Joe Clark's case got colder and colder. And it all became too much. He felt like he was let down. He was embarrassed. I mean, hell, he was 26 years old. It was his first homicide case as a detective. And he walked out. He resigned from the Washington County Sheriff's Department. And Lieutenant Joe Clark's case became the oldest unsolved murder of a law enforcement officer in the entire country.
Whoa. Usually they're like cracking down on that shit. Like they got it solved, figured out, like overtime hours on that.
Right. Now, that is until November of 2012, when Larry Minks became sheriff for Washington County. 31 years after Joe Clark was murdered, and Sheriff Minks was determined to solve his case and bring him justice. Minks reached out to Detective Jeff Severs, asking if he would be interested in starting up a cold case unit. Now, here I am again. I'm going to bring this back. If you listen to Marty Davis's case that we covered back in June or July, how imperative cold case units are.
Yep. So let's not get rid of them.
So let's not get rid of them. Hamilton County, are you listening? Cleveland, Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tennessee, how are you doing? Right. Don't get rid of them. They're imperative for solving cases like this one. 31 years after Joe was murdered, Sheriff Minks takes over, and he reaches out to Detective Severs and asks if he would open this cold case unit. Severs immediately says, yeah, hell yeah, and brings on Detective Bruce Shuck, who was like the head of the special response team. And he was actually very close friends and served with Joe Clark. So this was personal. Now, they knew that the chances of solving a cold case after 31 years were absolutely anything but in their favor. But with modern technology, it meant that they at least had a chance. The only issue was they did not have access to a lot of the technology that they would need in order to get this case off of the ground. So to do this, they needed not only more talent, more knowledge, but fresh eyes. Because of his background as a crime scene investigator, his talent, his knowledge about advancements in forensic technology, along with access to the Ohio State Lab, Special Agent John Jenkins of the Ohio BCI, which is the Bureau of Crime Investigations, essentially the TBI, GBI, etc., was then assigned to the cold case unit. Officially, the cold case unit was assembled, and Lieutenant Joe Clark's case was reopened and active as their first case to investigate. Investigators sat down and sifted through 18,000 pages. 18,000 pages, Morgan, of a case file.
That's nuts. I can't even do
18,000 pages. 50 pages, I'm done. On a PDF file in Google Docs?
No, I hit my max around 8, not 18.
Oh my God. I mean, I've sifted through a 50-page case file, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. So they go through this entire case file, and they create a game plan. But in order to investigate this case properly, they were going to have to start at the very beginning. The why, the how, the who. The cold case team created an updated and fresh profile of the suspect to help them better determine their why. Based off of everything that they had collected at the scene during the initial investigation, so like interviews, dead ends, tips, leads, collected evidence, etc., they came to the conclusion that it was very unlikely that Joe's murder was drug-related. It was personal.
Damn.
This person likely has a sturdy military background and continues perfecting their tactics that they learned in the military. They were confident but arrogant, felt that they were above the law, impulsive enough to conduct an ambush on a police officer in their own home, yet organized enough to have a plan and cover their tracks. But this person had an extreme hatred towards Lieutenant Joe Clark. This was not an easy kill. They would have had to stalk Joe, case their home, Joe's routine, get familiar with it, find a getaway driver, drive to the home, walk from the drop-off location with a shotgun to the home. I'm talking through backyards and shit. Make their way into the backyard to that specific tree, stage themselves at that tree, and then wait for the perfect shot. Only someone with a personal and intense grudge would be able to go through all of this to just kill one person. So the new answer as to why: personal hatred. This profile was determined based off of, like I said, a fresh look at this entire case file. But the answer to how, it required them to physically, over 30 years later, go back to legitimately square one, which was the Clark home. In the years after Joe's death, the home had been bought and sold several times, but luckily none of the interior walls in the home were ever broken down or remodeled, meaning that the Bureau of Criminal Investigation, the BCI, could scan with their modern technology the entire home and compare these scans to the original crime scene photos. And in the 3D recreation of that exact crime scene, as well as the yard, use what they already knew from the initial investigation, determine where the shooter would have been that evening. They discovered that the shooter would have had to fire their gun from behind the cover of a large tree in the backyard. This tree was exactly 31 feet from the home, with a direct line of sight into the kitchen window that Lieutenant Clark was shot through. Because of this exact distance and the accuracy, along with the ammo used, which was the 4-buck shotgun shell, it was also determined that a 12-gauge shotgun had to have been used. As we already know, the suspect likely had some form of military training, and it was clear to investigators that this person would have had to have watched the Clark home for an extended period of time, not prior, but on the exact night that Lieutenant Clark was killed, because they were waiting for Lieutenant Joe Clark to be isolated and in clear view in that kitchen window before taking their perfect shot. And then they fled the crime scene to their getaway driver, and they did this completely undetected, meaning this person was beyond smart. They were calculated, but they messed up when they left behind not only their shoe print, but that shell casing. This immediately stood out to Special Agent Jenkins as potentially the most crucial piece of evidence that was collected at the scene that day in 1981. Not only because it was a piece of the murder weapon, but because of the amount of force that is required to load a shotgun shell to a shotgun with your fingers. Meaning, though they were never able to pull a fingerprint from that shell casing, touch DNA was now a thing. With proper technology and careful examination, DNA would be able to be extracted from any form of residue left behind from a partial fingerprint. This would allow investigators to finally figure out who the who is. The cold case team sent this crucial piece of evidence to the state lab for testing and waited for months for the results. The BCI lab reported that there was no touch DNA on that shotgun shell detected to be extracted for testing. Though this was a massive letdown, investigators continued on because they still had that military combat boot print, the blue Ford Pinto, and other important identifying factors to lead them closer to who the suspect was. But they needed to back up just a tad in order to gather more specific evidence. They took it back to the crime scene. 31 feet away, behind the cover of the dark night sky, the falling snow, and that kitchen window, which is what they zeroed in on. Like I said before, this was a plate glass window and it was completely shattered with very little to no glass even on the edges remaining. The hole in that window was approximately 11 inches tall and 18 inches wide. And if you're anything like me, you're like, okay, and? What does that mean? But knowing what they knew about the profile of this killer, they wanted to determine exactly what type of a 12-gauge shotgun had the ability to make that big of a hole, and if it was a military-issued shotgun. Now, y'all know I don't know jack shit about guns. Like, literally not a single fucking thing.
Nope.
Not a thing. So this next part was best explained by Detective Jeff Severs in the Cold Case Files episode that I watched on Netflix, but also multiple YouTube videos. So according to Severs, the barrel on a military shotgun is significantly smaller or shorter than a regular shotgun. The reason is because it allows for the pellet pattern to spread out more. So with a 4-buck round, that contains specifically 27 separate pellets within the
holy shit
within the shell itself,
the
right?
one shell.
The further away that you get away from your target, so like the further you back up, the more those pellets not only go out but spread out, covering a larger area, lessening your chances of missing your target. Whereas if you were to use a longer barrel shotgun, a longer barrel would be what you use for hunting, with a 4-buck round, yes, those pellets are going to spread out, but they're going to be held tighter together. Investigators tested this out with various shotguns and compared the target pattern to the crime scene, determining that the only shotgun with a 4-buck round capable of creating that exact pattern and an 11 by 18 hole in that window at 31 feet away would be a short-barreled 12-gauge shotgun. But more specifically, an 18-inch long 12-gauge shotgun barrel. And this was the common length of a barrel on a shotgun that was specifically carried by law enforcement officers.
Oh shit, I knew where this was going.
So the who? Another police officer. This realization was shocking. I mean, you have to think, the cold case unit team members were probably questioning at this point fucking everything and everybody, reliving every single moment leading up to the death or the murder of Lieutenant Joe Clark. I mean, these people worked with him. They were his friends.
Right.
And they're like, what the fuck? This discovery had not even crossed the mind of Detective Jack Taylor all of those years ago and any other investigator that ever picked up this case file. This was uncharted territory, flipping the entire investigation on its back. It was like a brand new case, and this pretty much took them back to the why. As I said earlier, they had already determined that this was a very personal and targeted crime. So they had to figure out what could have possibly happened between Joe and a fellow officer that was so bad, so personal, that they would want to kill Joe Clark in cold blood in his own home in front of his wife. But then it clicked. Matt Bonner. He was discussed earlier. He controlled all of the drugs on the north side of Washington County, investigated and arrested on several occasions by specifically Lieutenant Clark himself. They weren't looking at him as a suspect though this time. He was the key. The only incident that occurred involving Joe Clark in 1981 with the Sheriff's Department was the arrest and assault of Matt Bonner by another officer. This incident occurred many months prior to Joe's murder. Matt Bonner was arrested for breaking and entering by a Washington County Sheriff's Department deputy. While in the squad car, handcuffed and riding back to the station, Bonner continually and loudly explained that he was innocent to the deputy that had arrested him. And after going on and on, the deputy pulled off on a desolate side road and onto the banks of the Ohio River, forced Bonner out of the car, and according to Bonner, this deputy physically beat him, like punched him,
assaulted him
multiple times, assaulting him before taking his gun, pushing it up against Matt Bonner's head, threatening to pull the trigger if he did not confess.
Holy shit.
Matt Bonner then filed, obviously, a fucking complaint against this officer for abuse.
Right.
Clearly, that's fucking abuse.
Yeah, that is police brutality.
Exactly. Now, this is where Lieutenant Joe Clark comes in. Clark was involved not in this case itself, but in the investigation against the deputy that had assaulted Matt Bonner, and found that that specific deputy was guilty and made the final decision to fire that deputy, Mitch Rubel. Would he be capable of murdering Lieutenant Joe Clark, and did he fit the profile? Mitch Rubel had served in the U.S. Air Force in Vietnam. Military background / combat boots, check. He collected and was obsessed with guns. Practices his tactics. Perfect shot. Check. During his time with the Sheriff's Department, he advocated and very heavily pushed for the use of $4 in shotguns.
Check.
Need I say more?
Need I say more? Check mark, bitch.
But I'm going to keep going either way.
What'd he drive?
Matt Rubel drove a 1974 blued Ford Pinto.
Check.
Hatchback specifically, exactly matching the model that was reported by the 10 plus witnesses, but it happened to be registered to his wife that he was cheating on very publicly with this woman that I'm going to refer to as CM. So the cold case unit investigators were like, immediately we're going to go find CM. And they find her and they interview her. They learned that the weekend that Joe Clark was murdered, Mitch was supposed to be staying with her in a hotel that entire weekend. Friday night, he stays with her. But then Saturday morning, which was February 7th, 1981, CM had been reading the morning paper, the exact paper that Joe's interview was published in. And she talked about how honorable of a man Lieutenant Clark was in front of Rubel.
Infuriating him.
He becomes so angry and so violent that he says, quote, he would be better 6 foot under, before grabbing his keys and storming out of the motel room, driving off in his blue Ford Pinto. Investigators then, obviously, called Mitch Rubel and asked if he'd be willing to come in for any questioning. He agrees, because he's like, what the fuck is this about? He told Detective Severs and Special Agent Jenkins that that night, February 7th, 1981, he had been with his buddy Todd Smith. He spent the night there. He got drunk, a little too drunk, had to stay with his buddy on the couch. It's all good. He's at Todd Smith's house. I was with him the whole night. You can go confirm that with him. I mean, I have a fucking airtight alibi. Okay, buddy, I'm sure we do. So Severs and Jenkins, they're like, naturally, we're going to Todd Smith. And they interview him outside of Smith's home in an unmarked car. Smith was very quick to be like, yep, everything Rubel said was true. We stayed home the entire night. Nothing happened.
There's your driver.
Yet, Smith kept talking for hours. Specifically, 4 fucking hours. He talked. Not saying it outright, but making it very clear that he was terrified of Mitch Rubel. never asking to leave, never asking when this would be over, acting like he's chilling with old friends, just going on and on. Finally, Severs realizes what Smith is doing. He wanted to confess, but he was too scared. So on a whim, Severs says, hey, if you know anything, I'll give you police protection and a plea deal. And like a switch, Todd Smith stopped the rambling, stopped the bullshit, and he told the truth, the whole truth about that night. Smith was at his apartment when Mitch Rubel randomly showed up. He asked if Todd still had a shotgun that Mitch had given him earlier. Todd said yeah, and he gave it back to Mitch. It was a short barrel, police-issued 12-gauge shotgun. Mitch told Todd to follow him to the car, which was his blue Ford Pinto, and said, quote, let's go kill us a certain lieutenant, end quote. Jesus. Todd Smith, thinking that this fucker's being crazy, laughs it off, thinking that probably going to the bar.
Right. They're
gets
going
in
to
the car.
Range.
Exactly. But then Mitch kept driving, and then he parked on Lieutenant Clark Street. He got out of the car and told Todd to wait in the car with the lights off until he came back, and then walked off with a shotgun into the night. After sitting there for like a fucking hour and hearing a shotgun fire, Todd freaks out. He's scared to death. He's terrified. He jumps into the driver's seat because the keys were still in the ignition and drove off all the way to his apartment, leaving behind Mitch Rubel. But not long after he got home, Rubel shows up. He grabs Todd, pushes him up against a wall, and held a knife to Todd, saying that if you ever spoke about this, I will kill you and no one will ever know that I did it.
Holy shit.
Todd Smith explained that he believed Rubel's Air Force buddies now were in possession of that specific shotgun. Investigators tracked all of the Air Force buddies down because of this like reunion that they would go to every year, and used facial recognition technology to identify every single one of his close friends. Once they got their facial recognition, obviously goes to their homes and it's like, hey, have you ever bought a gun off of Mitch Rubel? Every single one of them was like, no, never bought a gun off of him. And like, that's so fucking weird because he collects and trades guns all the time.
Yeah.
Like, this register says that you bought this gun from him. Until the last one. He said, yeah, I actually do have a police-issued shotgun, 12 gauge, from Mitch Rubel. It was the murder weapon.
Holy shit.
Investigators finally had the final piece to the case of Lieutenant Joe Clark's murder. And now they could arrest Mitch Rubel. But they knew that he was not going to just lay down. He was going to fight. Luckily for them, Rubel and his wife had filed recently, like a few days before, a report to the Washington County Sheriff's Department about this credit card scam. Like, they had their credit card information stolen. So they reached out to the detective that was heading this report and was like, hey, I need you to work with us. Can you ask him to come in to get like an update on his case? Obviously, this officer agrees. This detective is like, fucking hell yeah. Calls him in. Less than 24 hours later, Mitch agrees. He's like, yeah, I'm going to be there. No problem. I'll get an update on my case, whatever. So investigators at this point had 24-hour ground and air surveillance on Mitch Rubel. From his home, they followed him all the way to the station. As soon as he was far enough away from his home, the special response team executed a search warrant that they had on the Rubel residence. And when Rubel entered the sheriff's office, he was immediately arrested by Lieutenant Schuck for the murder of Lieutenant Joe Clark. Meanwhile, at his home, SRT, which is the special response team, found an entire cache of explosives and weapons stocked and stored in a locked room in Rubel's basement.
The fuck?
He had fucking created a fortress. He was going to evade arrest and kill every single officer that got in the way of his freedom.
Holy shit.
But he was too dumb to see that this was all a fucking ruse.
Holy shit.
It was so bad that the Columbus bomb squad had to come in, take all of these explosives and weapons, and destroy them in a fucking field in the middle of who knows where, Ohio. In 2016, Mitch Rubel was found guilty of the 1981 murder of Lieutenant Joe Clark and sentenced to life in prison.
Oh my God.
What fucking balls do you have to murder
To set up a literal trap for everybody too at the end.
Like at the end. I mean, how old has this?
He had absolutely.
He was like in his 60s, 70s.
He absolutely had intention on dying that day.
When they called him in for that first amount of questioning, he immediately was like,
"Get to work.
Set it up. I've had it all in stock my entire life," because he knew that they were going to come after him.
Piece of shit, bro.
He left behind that. I mean, could you imagine you working in law enforcement for so long, you thinking that you've got away with a murder,
Yeah.
And next thing you know, DNA is created.
Wreck yourself.
Wreck your shit, bitch.
That's insane.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe I'd never heard of that case before.
No, me neither. And so fucking high profile.
Seriously, though. And for it to be one of the oldest unsolved cases of a law enforcement officer's murder in the nation.
You actually think that would maybe resurface in the years prior.
Right. Or like even hearing about it on a TikTok, like I know that sounds crazy, but like that's where I like find cases that I've never heard of before. Right. Wow, it was insane.
That is nuts, dude.
Guys, I'm not even going to lie to you guys. We had to stop last night.
Yeah, we're actually recording now the next day.
We were, I mean, you can hear my voice. We were not good last night.
No, we weren't.
By the end of my case, it was over. But we haven't we were so excited to record that we just kept talking off mic.
On and on and on. We couldn't stop.
And yeah.
You know why? Because we were drinking.
Yeah.
Wine does that to us.
And we're so dumb that we were drinking while we're sick.
I know.
What?
Why did we do that?
I don't know. I mean, it made it all worse.
Two dumb bitches that make the wrong decisions every day of their life.
It was just like, we just want a glass. We just want a glass.
Just a glass.
Just a glass. Now I've been smoking for 45 years.
Sounds like fucking glass.
Yeah,
literally.
Not good.
Well, I loved it. Thank you for covering it.
Thank you. I'm so excited for hear yours.
For hear yours.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, good luck to us. I actually just had breakfast with one of our listeners. We went to the French Market Creperie, and I had a mimosa, and
there's nothing that hits better than a mimosa in the morning, but it will give you a migraine.
Yeah, I already have a headache. So I'm just going to jump right into this so we can get this bitch done. On October 25th, 1979, one of the most bizarre incidents in American schools took place in Little Havana, Florida. Havana.
Yeah.
Havana. In Little Havana, Florida. The Miami Aerospace Academy, which is a private military school, was the site of a troubling and concerning incident or riot. A man named Evaristo Marina, born and raised in Cuba, was the school's founder and president. Marina studied law at the University of Havana, where, according to former friends and classmates, Marina clashed with one student in particular. And of course, this story needs to start off extremely fucking bizarre. Marina had a very big God complex, big dick energy kind of vibe. So of course, at the University of Havana, he is going to bump into the biggest big dick energy guy there is. Fidel Castro.
Oh, God.
Castro and Marina would get into long, heated debates about Marxism and other things. During the end of his college years, leading into his early 20s, Marina got the attention of Cuba's president, Fulgencio Batista, and he was hired on as the general director of public order. Huge, huge deal.
Big deal.
But of course, life comes full circle. So when Fidel Castro overthrew the Batista government, there was a price on Marina's head. Oh. And he specifically had a target. Yep. He was like, fuck that guy. We literally fought in college.
We literally got in an argument in college that one time, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
But there's nothing more heated than like a college debate, to be real.
True that. So Marina fled, and he fled to the States in 1959. But he carried that BDE, that big dick energy with him, and he had this plan that no matter what country he was in, he would rise to power. His first years in the States were difficult. He started out as a busboy, and then he later waited tables at Miami's Biltmore Hotel. This hotel was pretty popular for other refugee Cuban politicians, which this group later became known as the Cuban Rotary Club of Exiles. When he served them their dinner, they would bond, and then afterwards he would sit down at the table, join in on their night of drinking and conversing, and he'd sit around and swear that one day he would be the mayor of the city of Miami.
Wow.
But at the time, the biggest leadership role that Marina had was being a soccer coach at the Army's Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps.
Period.
While this seems like such a small step of leadership in his life compared to his past, this position as a soccer coach fueled so much more. It gave him an idea. He saw an opportunity for a new type of school, one that would blend Cuban discipline with the values of the American military. But first, he needed some money. So he began a small beverage company called Iron Beer Soft Drinks. And on top of money, he needed legitimacy. So he joined the Civil Air Patrol, and within that rose to the position of lieutenant colonel. All while he fell in love, marrying a woman he met in Miami, Miss Williams, and having a child, their son, Evaristo Jr. In 1968, he sold his beverage company and he used that money to open his brand new school. In a very crowded area with already well-established military-style schools, he named his Aerospace Academy to stand out. He pieced together these images of spaceships and astronauts, which at the time were incredibly popular in America.
Yeah.
And he marketed the school to traditional Hispanic parents, making his argument more of a promise to parents. Quote, I believe in the command authority. I do not drink. I have never been drunk in my life. I do not smoke. And he used his catchphrase, quote, what I say is what I do.
Oh. Talk the talk, walk
all
the walk.
While tampering with his past Civil Air Patrol uniform, he sewed on a couple more patches here and there, did a little bedazzle, blinged it out a little bit, and he named himself, that was how his uniform, and he named himself the General of the Miami Aerospace Academy.
I don't drink, I don't smoke, but I lie.
But I bedazzle.
But I bedazzle.
And I lie.
And I lie.
Teachers were called colonels and majors, and students were cadets who were all dressed in this Air Force blue. The school educated children from kindergarten to 12th grade. Boys and girls were separated and educated in different buildings and rooms. And the boys who had too long of hair were sent to the school's barbershop for a buzz cut.
Not the barbershop.
But he thought the girls looked good with long hair, so that was preferred. So you, my friend, would not be allowed.
I'm immediately cut.
You are immediately cut.
It's
out of
totally
the
fine.
Aerospace Academy.
I'm 100% okay with it. Thank you for letting me go.
When the school first opened, attendance was slow, with tuition of only $65 monthly. So Marina, or the General, began pulling teens from juvenile detention, giving them fake identities. What? Putting them in the school. And he did this because he wanted to hide their backgrounds from other parents that he was trying to persuade in bringing their children to the academy.
I mean, yeah.
But parents aren't going to bring their children around if there's a bunch of convicts there.
Right.
But on the other side, the flip side of this, it also created this ideology that if you have a troubled teen, then send them to the MAA, which is the Miami Aerospace Academy. Okay. I'm done saying it, so it's now Ma. So parents are now like, okay, well, my kid's always getting in trouble, so I'm going to send them to Ma to get them straightened out. And when this got out that he was helping troubled teens, enrollment was booming. The school day started with a flag-raising ceremony at 8:30 in the morning, and the rest of the day was scheduled out by the minute. Pretty soon, his small building he used for the academy was getting overcrowded. So Marina purchased a 1.3-acre property across from the Miami High School for almost $1 million. He built a brand new, state-of-the-art private school. I'm talking 2-story classroom buildings, an office building, 3 dormitories, and an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Oh. It was nice, but this wasn't enough for him. He loved that taste of money that he was getting. So he hired a film crew to shoot a commercial that was promoting the school, and then he had it aired on every television and every movie theater across South America.
The movie theaters?
Like the cinemas. So parents were itching to send their children there. It was the it thing to do. So the wealthy of South America began flying in their kids to attend Ma, filling the 3 dormitories with mostly international students.
Wow.
By 1971, they had over 1,000 students, and boys outnumbered the girls 3-1. And school profits were at an all-time high. But this was not enough power for Marina. He wanted to run for the Miami City Commission. So he used a lot of the school's money, actually all of the school's money, for his campaign in 1972.
Great.
That he lost. Oh. And now the school was broke.
Oh, God.
So they had to file for bankruptcy in 73. Even broke, though, the school continued to pull in students from all over. And Marina didn't want your regular children. He wanted these strong, war-minded, focused military boys.
Okay.
So the school began to offer classes like military science, fencing, judo to produce and educate these strong cadets. Meanwhile, the girls were shoved in a separate building to take home ec classes and economics. At least they're taking business classes, I guess.
I guess they're taking business classes, but it's only because they're going to be their accountant. They're the write-off people.
Yeah, they're now the write-off people. And if the classes were not pulling in these military-obsessed boys, the F-84 fighter jet did. That's right. Somehow, Marina obtained a United States Air Force F-84 fighter jet in 1972, and nobody knows how he got it. This specific fighter jet was a decommissioned plane that once flew across like Korean skies.
Oh my God.
During its delivery to the school, it was paraded across Miami streets in the middle of rush hour.
No.
Scratching cars left and right, destroying palm trees. Like, it was this big fiasco. And everyone's like, why is there a fighter jet in the middle of the interstate?
Why the fuck do we have a fighter jet on these already
It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
I mean, that is so typical Miami. I can't even begin.
Yeah, but Marina didn't care. He now obtained a fucking fighter jet, and he was proud of it. So proud that he displayed it above the school's main entrance. And while the school continued to maintain the military display outside, what was going on inside was a different story. Teachers were paid $200 a week, and a lot of them were not certified. Marina was afraid to bring in certified teachers because, quote, this is a quote from him, this is not me or us, this is a quote from him. Quote, you bring in a teacher certified from the state of Florida, and he might be a homosexual. He was 1,000,000% a homophobic. He even announced that the school's mission was, quote, to help fight communism, drugs, and homosexualism.
Oh my God.
Because don't you know that all three go in the same hand?
I mean, how has Florida not changed since 80 whatever?
How?
This is...
Like, that was a school's mission. Like, that's what was plastered everywhere.
That's fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, it's sickening.
You look dumb.
You look fucking dumb, bitch. Every bathroom in the school had microphones installed, and they were under inspection every 5 minutes so that there was no time for students to fool around or experiment with the same sex.
Oh my God. I mean, this is fucking awful.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, it's like,
yeah, it's horrible.
Oh my God. You're a liar. You're a liar, and now you're a psycho liar.
Yeah, and a homophobe.
Yeah.
In 1976, Marina attempted again for another political gain, but to no avail. This was the same year that his arch nemesis, Fidel Castro, became Cuba's president.
Oh, what a fucking slap in the face.
While he campaigned again for public office, he put his brother in charge of the school. His brother's name is Jose, or what they referred to him as the Colonel. Who held the fort down. While Marina was busy losing another election, he always had on aviator glasses, and the students referred to him as Pepe. That's the Colonel, his brother.
All right.
When he lost the election, he went right back to running the school. And you know what? Yeah, that's got to be a fucking slap in the face. You're like, I'm there now.
I'm going to do it this time.
I'm going to get in the city commission.
Yeah.
And he fails, and Castro's like, actually, I'm now the leader of Cuba.
I am the dictator.
I'm the dictator of Cuba.
What a fucking slap in the face.
Around this time, his wife had left him and moved to New York, leaving their son behind with his father. Marina enrolled him into the MAA, but he wasn't single long. According to fellow students, teachers, and friends, Marina always had a girl on his arms, and they were these gorgeous, stunning babes. Most of them would be allowed to hang out at the school with him. Sometimes they'd help out in classrooms or the cafeteria. Oh. Go fucking figure.
Wow.
Alongside his girlfriends, Marina also loved the moms of his students.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
He would invite his good-looking female students to his house to be accompanied by their mothers so that he could meet who birthed these gorgeous girls.
I'm going to vomit, Morgan. I mean, I'm getting sick.
Yeah,
physically
this
ill.
is so fucked up.
I mean, between the amount of snot I'm having to swallow and listening to this bullshit,
yeah,
I can't.
It's bad. While he was getting busy with the moms and the girlfriends, the school was crumbling, physically and literally. The structure and foundation of the school was cracking. Students were fighting left and right. A new disciplinary instructor was hired because of this, named Major McKinley. Major was around 30 years old, and he was fucking brutal. He carried around a cricket bat known as Big Ben that he drilled holes in so that it would sting and whistle a little bit more when he would beat the students. Big Ben was a 38-inch wooden paddle. He paddled both boys and girls so hard that it actually snapped in half one time.
Wow.
Students would have to do exercises that was brutal in result of being punished. And you know how like cadets do chants?
Right.
Well, when the kids were pissed the fuck off, they'd chant, I don't know how the jingle goes. So I'm going to guess. Marina, O-U-S-O-B. Marina's fat. We know that. Marina, O-U-S-O-B. Marina's fat. We know that. That's what the kids chanted.
I want to fucking step dance to that shit. I mean,
make that a fucking TikTok. TikTok.
Tic Tac. Make that a fucking. Make that one a Tic Tac.
Does Tic Tac use Wi-Fi? At the same time, I mean, shit's crumbling, okay? It's hitting the fucking fan.
Yeah, thank God.
And Marina's fat, we know that.
Yeah.
USOB. Rumors
and we're not body shaming Marina, anybody.
No, we're not body shaming. This is what the students chanted.
It's a quote.
Rumors began to circulate that Marina was practicing Santeria. Santeria, I'm unsure. Santeria is what I'm going to go for it by, is an African diasporic religion that developed in Cuba during the late 19th century. It is a combination of African and Roman Catholic teachings. And Santeria stands for the way of the saints. And it is also known as the Order of the Orishas. So the Orishas are deities of the Yoruba people from southwestern Nigeria. And they were then brought to Cuba by the people of the Yoruba nations of West Africa. Slave trade.
Yep.
Making it an Afro-Caribbean religion, but mostly Afro-Cuban. According to Britannica, it's based on the development of personal relationships through divination, sacrifice, initiation, and mediumship between the practitioners of the religion and the Orisha deities, who in return will provide their devotees with protection, wisdom, and success, and then they'll guide them in these times of crisis. Santeria is polytheistic, meaning that the belief contains multiple gods or goddesses.
Okay.
And this specific religion revolves around the deities Oricha, Ocha, or Santos, aka the saints. Practitioners of this religion believe that some Orisha were created before humanity, while others were originally humans who became Orisha through some like remarkable gift or quality. So these humans became gods because they were
like saints.
Yeah, exactly. Some Orisha are female, others are male, but both are capable of harming and helping humans and displaying a mix of emotions, virtues, and vices. Among the Orisha are the four warrior deities: Elugua, Ugan, Ochosi, and Usan. Elugua is the guardian of the crossroads and the thresholds. He is the messenger between humanity and the main Orisha. Ugan is the weapons in war. Ochosi is woods and hunting. And Osan is the protector who warns practitioners if they are in danger. Other popular Orisha are Chengo or Shango, who is associated with lightning and fire, and Yemaha, who is associated with maternity, fertility, and the sea. And again, there's thousands of Orishas, but these are just like some of the most popular. Santeria teaches the existence of this overarching divinity known as Uladumer or Alofi. And this is basically their ruler of their heaven, their version of heaven. Practitioners believe that this divinity or heaven, or this god of heaven, created the universe, but takes very little interest in human affairs. Like, I created this, but like the people on earth, like I don't give a fuck about.
Like, go ahead and do your thing.
Yeah. Santeria teaches that the human head contains a person's essence, or their alita or ori, which is their essence. So before birth, your essence goes before the ruler of heaven, Oladumer, where it's given its essential character and forms a link with the Orisha, who then becomes the new owner of the head. So before you're even born, your essence meets with the ruler of heaven.
Like spirit?
Yes, it's given this character. You will be this person. And they form this link that now means the Orisha owns your head.
Okay. So it's kind of like a soul contract.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay.
Spirits of the dead are one of the most important things to those who practice this religion. The dead must be treated with respect, kindness, and awe. It is believed that while they are not as strong as the Orisha, they are still capable of assisting the living. And they do this by communicating through dreams, intuition, and spirit possession. And they teach that any person can learn to both see and communicate with the dead. These spirits can protect that said individual, and a person can have as many as 25 protectors. Santeria has a very elaborate system of rituals and ceremonies, and these take place in many ways, such as houses of worships, shrines, offerings, animal sacrifice, drumming ceremonies, funerals, divination, and initiation. Initiation into the religion takes 7 days plus 2 days of prep rituals. And I'm going to be going through it, and I just want to note that like it is public information. It's online. Like I don't want to be like sharing a secret of I don't want to be disrespectful, but like it is everywhere.
Yeah.
So on that note, it takes 7 days plus 2 days of prep rituals. During the prep, a spiritual mass takes place to grant the blessing of an ancestor, followed by this opening sacrifice that is made to the orcha. Then there's the ceremony of the initiate, where more offerings are given to the orcha, followed by the breaking, where the initiate is purified in a river. The majority of the ritual takes place after the breaking, and this takes place in what's called an igbudu. This is where the initiate sleeps on a mat on the floor for 7 days. No one that is involved in the initiation is allowed to enter where they are resting. During this time, the initiate is given a beaded necklace that is associated with a specific deity, and this is the pinning ritual, where the necklace is then pinned onto the initiate. Finally, the initiate's head is bathed in order to rid them of any like evil, malevolent spirits that could be with them. And most of the time, the initiate's head is shaved during this part, male and female. On the 7th day, the initiate leaves their resting place and visits the marketplace or town, where they make offerings and then steal something small to make that offering. Afterwards is the journey of the Iau, which is a year-long period where they must abstain from certain restrictions, such as abstinence, wearing only white, and not cutting their hair. After this year, it is their birthday of the saint, or the cumpleaños de santo, and they can then lead rituals and help initiate others into the religion. During the time of the Miami Aerospace Academy, Little Havana was filled with ritual belief. Haitians practiced voodoo, Bahamians believed in Obeah, and this resulted in these African-based religions to mix with American spirituality. Oftentimes, Marina was spotted wearing all white, which we know is in that year-long, what takes place after your initiation in that year-long period. You're only to wear white. Marina was spotted wearing all white, as those who practice Santeria do. And again, this religion was super common in the area because it was at this time filled with a lot of refugee Cubans.
Right.
But mixed with American spiritualism and the 70s, Ouija boards also became super popular, especially with Santeria, because communicating with your dead was one of their biggest beliefs, along with tarot cards, which many students have come forward that teachers in the school were practicing and using, both of which during class time. Like we discussed earlier, the state of the school was becoming chaotic. The students were being beaten, the teachers were no longer teaching, and the students were starting to see that this was much less a military academy and becoming more of a forced religious-based school, to say the least. The students were getting eager to leave the academy and escape their dormitories, but this was a military-based school, and that was pretty hard to just up and abandon. And a lot of those students are international, so where are they going to go?
Right.
Their parents flew them
no
there,
idea.
And they have no idea. So the students, or the cadets, turn to the explorations of the supernatural with games we know and love to hate, like Bloody Mary, Ouija boards, etc. And it is believed that this was by influence of their academic leaders, their teachers, the colonels, the lieutenants. By October of 1979, the student body, or the cadets, were really into the occult. And come Halloween week, things turned chaotic. Students were showing signs of possession, jumping out of windows, twisting their heads, screaming, crying. It was absolute chaos. The events that took place on October 25th would make this school one of the most popular schools in Florida and arguably the United States, but not for good reasons. Tragedy, demons, possessions, riots, sexual assault, child abuse would take over the headlines of the Miami paper for the years to come. But you'll have to stay tuned for next week because, bitches, this is Morgan's first two-parter.
That is crazy.
Bye-bye.
I can't believe you're doing a two-parter, number one.
Me neither.
Big fucking day here.
We'll blame my sickness, one, but we're also going to blame that the aftermath of this case is insane. Like, what took place in October is insane. And then what followed in the years to come with investigations and students opening up about that school. Like, it is horrific, terrifying. And this is actually a show on, Investigations? No. HBO? No.
Discovery Plus?
Discovery Plus. It's on one of those channels. It's called Hysteria High.
Okay. I've heard of that. I've never watched it.
It's not a show. I'm sorry. It's a documentary.
Documentary?
Yeah.
Do you think it's like a docuseries with like
maybe
episodes?
Just a couple episodes?
That's why you think it was a show?
Yeah. We'll see you guys next week for my end of my really, really horrific story.
I don't know what I'm going to do next week, but I'll try to keep it cool since hers is so horrific. Love ya.